Hello, everybody. I'm starting on the help support this channel banner because if I start on my camera, for some odd reason, OBS stalls and there's a huge audio sync problem. So I started there. You know what to do with the monthly support. Talking today about E3 not happening. We think. Might be an April Fool's Day joke. By the time this video goes up, it might be her surprise. We were just kidding. But I don't think so. And the fact they dropped that news on April Fool's is a testament to how messed up the ESA is right now. Here comes Momo. There's Momo. Momo's like, what are you doing? Yeah, okay. So TLDR, I think that E3 taking a pause, possibly going bye-bye forever. Don't rule them out. More on that in a bit. But, this could be a permanent pause. I think it's a good thing simply because E3 no longer has the purpose it once did with direct downloads and the distrust of the games media and more content being just pay to play and the ability for word of mouth marketing through Steam and the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo stores. That sort of event with a physical trade show and in-person demos and that kind of thing, it's outdated. Now, I'm not sure that replacing it with the Summer Games Fest run by the Game Awards is the best change, but let's back up from the beginning. E3 once had a purpose, right, Momo? Yes. E3 once had a purpose in that streaming video wasn't what it is today, and people wanted written updates with pictures about games. They wanted coverage. They wanted descriptions. They wanted previews of the games they were looking forward to. And there was a relationship between gamers and the games press that they believed that even when they essentially disagreed with somebody, that they were giving their honest opinion. And then media consolidation started happening in the gaming space. And things went sideways in more ways than one. A three-way acrimonious relationship formed between gamers, the games press, and developers. Developers hate the games press. So the games press, there's a weird relationship with developers there. The fact that we are not more selective regarding the publishing of leaks and whatnot. It's gotten better of late for the most part, but the journalists that went on to write for Washington Post and Bloomberg and things like that, they all made their careers off of leaks, right? Instead of interviews and give and take and good analysis. And leaks are one of those things that people don't like them, but nobody can look away. Some people just can't help but look at it. Momo, you are the star of this video, aren't you, buddy? Okay, so originally there was a purpose. I mean, when I first started going to E3, it was useful. It was worth the money. You actually formed relationships with publishers and development companies, and you met some cool indie teams, and it was worth going. And you met other people in the media, you grabbed a lunch or something like that. That started happening less and less because everybody's schedules were so packed, and more things went away from demos because I am a big believer in demos. I think that they give people a sense of what a game is in a way that a trailer can't. Now, that being said, I understand that with the way modern games are made, making demos that aren't bug-filled messes while the game is not complete, it's very hard. I mean, even putting together trailers for a show like E3, scrambling to hit that, summer date, not because the trailer is ready, but because that's when the trade show is. We saw what happened with the Horizon Forbidden West trailer and the, unrefined motion capture that caused the big kerfuffle. But I can still say there's a place for demos and also recognize it doesn't have to be a physical trade show anymore. You can do what, Resident Evil did and put the, Village demo on for downloads on the online stores and go direct to gamers. They can try it. They don't need to read a description of the demo. They can try it for themselves, right? And that's the big thing I think that has shifted. The word of mouth, the referral service is no longer with the press. It's through Steam and through communities and through, people watch YouTube videos about things. They'll watch Twitch streams. Everything has eclipsed what a physical trade show does. Now, the thing I really liked about E3, and this can't be replaced by videos or streams or Nintendo Directs or, is meeting the developers and actually getting a sense of them as people. Mike Laidlaw lying to my face about Dragon Age Inquisition, not a good experience, but it definitely gives me a piece of information about BioWare going forward and whether or not I can trust the communications they have in the preview period, right? If anybody's wondering what I was lied to about, it was the fact that the playable Kunari character was Kunari and not Talvashoth. I flat out asked them, can you play as a Kunari mage? That's a Kunari mage. That's not Talvashoth. That's Kunari. Yes, that's Kunari. I said, that's very different. Yes, it is. It wasn't Kunari. It was a Talvashoth mercenary. Unnecessary lie. I would have been completely fine. Oh, okay. You're just making it the character, the body type, right? Though I just think horrible disappointment. Ruined Inquisition for me that I was lied to about that. But what does that tell me? That tells me that BioWare will lie in marketing. So, you got to be careful. Whereas the Gears of War team never lied to my face. The Halo team didn't lie, but clearly knew that it was about Spartan Ops and whether they were going to be able to deliver weekly content for 52 weeks straight, because everybody was like, that's crazy. And they just basically said, that's the plan. That's what we're attempting to do. They didn't say, yes, absolutely. And their face is sort of like, yeah, we know that this is probably not going to work. But it's Halo, right? They do the big swing. That was an outright lie. That was, I'm sure they had every intention of trying to get it out weekly. It was just not realistic. But there you go. Then there are other declined answers, this, that, and the next thing. You get a sense of which PR teams come at you straight and which ones are likely to dodge or misdirect or flat out lie. It would be great to still have that. That is something that has been lost industry-wide, even outside of E3 or big shows. Access has been extremely restricted. I stopped bothering when everything was submit your questions via email. No, I don't want to submit my questions via email. I want to talk to these people and get a sense of who they are. That's important. It's very important to be able to look people in the eyes and analyze their voices and speaking and all that stuff. You really get a sense of someone when you talk to them. Joking around with the God of War dev team about historically accurate sex and violence, you got a sense that they weren't just being pervs. They were a little bit like, yeah, we're being kind of stupid about this, but they seem like decent guys. Being able to get a sense of these developers as people is really, really important in terms of being able to advocate for the quality of products. Do they seem like somebody who's going to cut and run? Or do they seem like decent people who just want to do a good job, right? That was very important to me. That is gone. I mean, even at PAX is now so busy. You might get a brief, "Hey, how you doing?" with the development team. They now have media hours at PAX, so that you show up at 8 o'clock and the media comes around, and there's not enough time to do anything in only an hour. PAX is too big. PAX used to be great for access before it just got massive, but that's the other problem with these shows, is they're so big now that regular attendees can't get in unless, at E3, if you pay $500 a badge, come on, that's not people who love games. That's people who's got the money to spend, right? But E3 got increasingly harder and harder to get into. And it used to be that you could go down to E3 and do previews and get people to discover your site through search. It's not the way it works anymore, because the big game sites get preview week, meaning they have a week head start on everybody else. I could never figure out how they got the content up so fast. I wow, they must write like fiends. No, they had all their content before E3 even started, and then they just went publish from day to day, right? There's an embargo, They had it all in advance. So there's no equity in access, right? The big websites stay big. The smaller websites can't compete because they don't have access. The talent of tomorrow is not developed. It's better to just be a YouTuber like me who buys the game, talks about the game, gets revenue from Twitch and things like that. So we basically make the money back that we spent on the game. It's no different than being a game reviewer where you got paid with the game. You got the game for free. You maybe got $25 for the review if you were lucky, but you got the game, right? I make enough on Twitch that it pays for a PlayStation 5 game over the period of time I play the game. So it's basically the same thing. I'm subsidizing my gaming habit, right, with content. It's really no different, and it's a heck of a lot less of a hassle to just buy it and do what I want with it than going through the whole review process and the embargo and, continuing to beg the publisher and so on and so forth. I would like there to be a role for some sort of enthusiast press going forward. It needs a major revamp. And the Summer Games Fest, the Game Awards run thing, that's not the way to do it. Because let's face it, I mean, this is just another pay to be there thing. It's totally online for the most part, maybe, I don't know. But we do need some sort of regional circuit where people who really love video games, I have one in the Northeast, have another one down in, the California area, but do something central, something in the Atlanta, Chicago area. So those studios that are in Texas and Florida don't have to go, all the way across the freaking country. And the convention space is just much larger in those hubs. Do something there that people can congregate. I mean, yeah, there's PAX East. I've never been. Maybe I should go before I start talking that way. But, if it weren't for PAX, there'd be no alternative. And PAX is getting pretty expensive too. PAX isn't nearly as expensive as E3, but it's oversubscribed and too expensive as well. For indie publishers, people take a bath. And some say it's worth it. I've run the numbers on a few things I've been working on. I'm not sure it is. If your game's out and you can get somebody to sign up like right there, like give them a card or something, they'll be able to buy the game right away because they talked to you and liked you. Maybe that's worth it. But for preview, I absolutely do not think trade shows benefit an indie title. They're just too expensive for what you get because you're swallowed up in the churn, right? Direct services like Steam, Microsoft, getting on Game Pass is a great way for an indie developer to get their name out there because people will sample it. You're not going to make the same amount of money on that game, but people will know. And so when your next game comes out, people are already fans of your studio. That makes sense, right? The PlayStation Store, same thing. You can, use sales and things like that to boost the profile of your product. We know that works. We've seen the numbers. You can replicate that. Those in-person meeting places, though, people meet online, and I know some absolutely wonderful people online, but having those meetups is really super important. And I don't know if local Comic-Cons are just going to pick up the slack there. Maybe that's one way to go about it. Whether some enterprising person or organization with a lot more money than me wants to try to start a gaming convention that isn't like one of these big Comic-Cons that costs $120 for the weekend, you know, there needs to be something where people can congregate. And that's the thing, the only thing I think something like E3 still brings to the table. But E3 wasn't doing that anymore either. PAX does it better, but PAX is still overwhelmed. And I get why they're adding shows instead of moving out of Seattle. They're probably the last best hope for that kind of thing. And like I said, even then, what is a developer going to do? PAX Prime and then PAX East and then we got a PAX South or something like that. If you're doing these conventions, you're not making your game, right? You have to carve at least 2 weeks out of your development schedule, if not 3, because you prep for 2 and then recover for 1. And that's if you don't get really sick at a convention. I don't think online can replace that. I do think online direct presentations like State of Play, like Nintendo Direct, I do think they can replace E3 because all the other things that E3 did, it didn't do anymore. That democratizing access and direct hands-on demos. That those are dying before even COVID. The problem for international media, if anybody's interested at E3, is the analytics software that E3 used, the ESA used, was biased in favor of American sites. It only measured US traffic. So Canadians got hosed because any traffic in Canada wasn't measured by their analytics software. It sucked. So that meant not only that it was harder to get in, but fewer people could get in on a press badge because it's strictly based on traffic. And the problem with that is you're not developing tomorrow's talent, right? You need traffic to get in. You need to get in to get traffic, right? It's not about quality of content. It's not about merit. It's about how much traffic you can get. And it's starting YouTube right now. It's hard. The discoverability problem is real. So how do people do it? Drama, rumor, stirring shit up. And that's not good for people who want to focus on games. You know, it's that same cycle of hot take journalism that nobody likes because nobody can trust it. But that's the only way to get the reliable traffic to qualify for any of this stuff. Because there's just so much stuff on YouTube that unless you're willing to embrace the drama, you can't build your channel. Nobody's going to watch your stuff based on the YouTube algorithm that is driven by drama. And that's the one thing that the industry really needs. And the industry would rather not because they'd rather just directly control their marketing. But I think that's a mistake. I think goodwill from being open and an active part of the community that buys your stuff is super important. So they could benefit from developing new talent who really knew what they were talking about. But they don't. They'd rather just shovel shit to the usual suspects than complain about what assholes they are. Because it's the devil they know, right? That's the thing that I think in-person trade shows do, that they meet somebody and go, wow, this person really knows their shit. Let's keep in touch. Like, that's what I got out of E3. I knew what I was doing, and so I forged relationships. You can't do that anymore. It's just, there's not enough FaceTime. There's not enough unstructured dialogue, even before COVID, even before everything went online. So, interested in your comments about this. What do you think would benefit the gaming industry in terms of gathering places, in terms of these sort of marketing things. Because I know some people love the game trailer show. I know some people hate the game trailer show. That's all pay-go. It's all you pay to be involved. And if you pay them, they hype your stuff. If you don't pay them, well, you're not included, right? We all know that. It's obvious. But is that the future we want for shows like that? I don't know. Let me know. You guys are in charge here. I'm very interested in what you have to say. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy someone a Leanna Care session who can't afford it themselves. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.